Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, nice to see you again. We are starting our intro to web dev stream. I'm so excited. I'm actually going to see really quickly which audio works better. Let's try that, or let's try that. Okay, I think. Okay, great. So now we're starting. Hopefully y'all saw the check-in link. If you did, please make sure you check in so that you can get all of the points that you deserve for showing up to this wonderful stream. And by the way, it's always really interesting to see how the number of people that are joining the stream like shoots up after I come up on the screen. I think people are like actively waiting until the like overlay background disappears before they come in and join. But I'm super glad to see that a lot of you have tuned in to come hang out with me for this wonderful workshop. If y'all don't know already, I don't have my intro slide. I didn't lose it, but I just didn't put it in the slides. But it's fine. I am Varsha. I'm your MLH coach, and I use she, her pronouns. Fun fact about me is I've been going on really long walks recently, and it's been really nice. Been reconnecting with nature. So I'm a coach, and I'll be streaming today, and I'll be doing the intro to web development stream. I'm actually really excited about this one so that we can get some web development going on here. I'm very excited about Beginners Week in general, just because it's really nice to be able to help beginners out, but also give people who might not be beginners a quick refresher on the fundamentals. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining in. So pushing that check-in link one more time, but I'm going to take that off the big banner so you can get my lovely little name right there. But if y'all need it, it is in chat. Just let me know if you need anything. But basically, if you're here, you might be curious about like what web dev is. Maybe you want to build a portfolio website. But a couple things that we'll need is a code editor. If you've been to any of my streams before, you know that I always push up VS Code as, like kind of the best code editor in my opinion. But it's honestly okay for you to use anything. I would just specifically recommend VS Code or Visual Studio Code for this specific stream because we'll be using a couple of extensions in VS Code. And I haven't really done research on how to get those extensions in other IDEs or if it's even possible. So it would honestly probably be great if we all got VS Code. And speaking of that, I just put the download link for that in chat. So there you go. If you don't have it, go ahead and download it. It is really intuitive and it will automatically identify what operating system you're running on. So it will give you the download link according to your operating system right there, which is super duper cool. But with that, I want to get a quick poll of our viewers in the chat. So can you give me a 1 if this is your first time doing anything related to web dev? 2, if you know a little bit about web dev, but you want to learn more and you want to expand your skills. Or 3, you're a super seasoned web dev developer and you built so many different websites and you're just here for fundamentals. So quick refresher, 1 is super beginner, 2 is kind of middle, and 3 is kind of expert. So I would love to get some responses to see where our audience is at today and kind of get a feel for that. So yay, we have our first response. Okay, I'm seeing a 2. Great. That's cool to know that you have some web dev experience. So hopefully you brush up on your fundamentals, maybe potentially learn something new. Funny, 0 wasn't an option, but that's okay. It's honestly really nice to be able to learn a new skill, and everyone starts at the base level and not really knowing much fundamentals, but that's exactly what these streams are for, and that's why we do them every Global Hack Week. Okay, great. I see another 2. Okay, so we've got some decent knowledge here. Super great to see that engagement. Thank y'all for engaging in the chat. I love when I get my engagement. But on that topic, let's actually get started with ourselves. Oh, look, I actually did include that slide. Yay! But yeah, that's me. I'm a coach of Major League Hacking. We did the poll. So let's talk about what actually happens when you visit a website. So aside from visiting a website, we're going to learn a lot of different structures, and today we're going to be focusing on HTML. So you'll be able to have a working web page on your computer, which is one that you're going to build during the session. And it's actually really cool. You don't have to have any installations, frameworks, or tools. You can just use raw HTML in a .html file, and you just open your browser, and it works. And that's why HTML is so cool. You don't have to use any other tools or any external websites. You can just use the exact same file and just open it up in your browser. So I think that's super cool. And if you're curious about what happens when you visit a website, I've got kind of an outline for you. So think about if you're visiting a popular website. So Instagram's a pretty popular website, so Instagram.com. So what happens when you visit a website like that? So first, you type that URL in Instagram.com. Maybe you've already typed it before, so it's already auto-populating in your browser. But you go ahead and hit enter. Then your browser, so Chrome, Safari, GoGoDuck, whatever you use, that browser is going to send a request to the server. The server will reply with files. So these files are bare minimum going to have HTML, but they might have CSS and JavaScript as well for some additional styling and some additional usages there too. And once the server has responded with those files, your browser is going to read and render those files into a web page. So you're not just seeing this like image with all these different files, you're basically seeing like a Google Doc that's structured with all of these different files and styled in advance with code. So something really cool is we can actually see that happen live. So let's say we're going to go to the Major League Hacking YouTube channel and we can actually see that. So let me pull that up for y'all. Plug for any live streams that y'all want to watch. Which, by the way, if you were unaware, you can always go to Major League Hacking's YouTube channel, click on live, and you can see all of the streams that are going on and have been recorded. Actually, you can see mine's right there. It's already got me. Ooh, I don't want to click on that. It's already got a clip of me there, but we are running live for that one. And let's say that we want to see exactly what the HTML is and kind of the structured document. So we can right click on the page and we can click on inspect. and you can actually see the HTML code. So this is exactly what we are going to be working on today. You can see it says doc type HTML. That's like a quick indicator always at the start of the file that helps you know what language you're coding in. So this is all HTML. I know this might look like a lot, maybe a little bit complex, but remember this is like for the YouTube page, which has so many different developers working on it. We're just going to be doing kind of a simple, more simple response. Now, actually, I am watching this stream right now, and I see that you can't see the inspect element for it. So let's see if we can get that open for y'all. Okay, for some reason it's not showing the inspect element part. Maybe that's not able to be screen shared. But just like right click on the tab and then click inspect, and you'll be able to see that raw HTML, which is super different cool. And if you notice, the screen would sometimes change blue. Those are different tags, and you can see the layout changing based on those tags. So the browser is doing most of the heavy lifting here. So this is like Safari, Google Chrome, but it all starts with just the simple HTML file. So what is HTML in general? So HTML, you can think about it, well, first, it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And you can kind of think about it like Lego blocks. If you have played with Legos before, or maybe just like building blocks more generally, you stack pieces of Lego blocks or stack pieces of building blocks to build a structure, maybe like a tower or a flower or whatever you're building. You can think about each of these blocks being a tag with HTML. So for an example, you can have like the H1 tagged element, and that's a heading. You can have the P tagged element, and that's a paragraph. You can have the A tagged element, and that's a link. So if you have ever looked at HTML, you'll notice that it has these little open and close brackets around any content. And that is because those are the indicators that you're using HTML code. And so that's the less than and greater than sign. And you put your tagged element within those brackets. And you'll normally just do like bracket H1 bracket. So that's heading one. But then at the end of your sentence, you'll do bracket and you'll do a slash. So that's specifically going to be a forward slash, and you'll do the H1 again, and then you'll do the closing brackets. So that's kind of the way that tags in general look. And the brackets are, again, just telling the browser that this is HTML code. That's what we're working with. And they usually have this like kind of sandwiching pattern of tag, content, and then tag. So it's like the content is sandwiched in between the two tags. And the first tag is just normal, but the second tag includes a forward slash so that you can tell your browser and just whatever is reading your code, that's the closing tag, and that is the indicator that whatever content you have put in has now ended. So that's kind of how we structure everything on the web. And by the way, most of this stream is going to be interactive. We are going to be coding along with each other. So definitely make sure you download VS Code or open up an IDE if you haven't already. I'm just giving you a couple of basics before we get started so I can make sure that y'all have what you need to hit the ground running once we start coding. But actually, on that note, we're just going to switch over to VS Code right now because I want to get into our coding as soon as we can so y'all can get engaged and get excited. So I'm going to open up a new HTML file in my VS Code. So let me open that up. And I will share that with y'all. So open up VS Code, open up your IDE, whatever you need to do. Okay, great. So here's my VS Code, here's my IDE. This is what I'm going to be using. And basically, let me make it into full screen so it makes it a little bit bigger. Entire screen. Rearranging my tabs here after sharing some of them. But we've got our index.html file. So now we're actually going to build a complete HTML document. So you can make a new folder. I just went ahead and made a new file. That's honestly probably not great practice, but just for the purposes of this demo and this quick little stream, you could just make a file. You can call the file whatever you want. Just make sure you have that .html at the end of your file name so that you can store whatever you're writing as an HTML file. So we're going to type hello world in HTML. So for those of you that have worked in other programming languages before, you probably have heard of hello world. And if you haven't and you are not used to the world of programming languages, typically the first thing you do in every language is learn how to print out or display hello world to the user slash computer. And it's more simple in other languages. Like I did the intro to Python stream yesterday, and that was a bit easier. You just did print and then the what do they call it? Apostrophes, quotes. And you just said hello world and that's it. But with HTML, it's a bit more complex, but that's exactly what I'm here for, to help you break it down. So first, we are going to do what I talked about, and definitely please make sure you code along with me. That is the only way that you can get this all into your head. I am a strong believer of working as you see things. I think a lot of times, sometimes I just passively watch or I passively read, and I don't really absorb as much as if like I had tried it myself. So try it with me. And first, we're going to write our tag, which is going to tell the browser to use HTML. So we saw that before. We did the angle brackets, and we're going to do an exclamation point, and we're going to do doc type, because that means we are indicating exactly what type of this document is. And we're going to put HTML because that is exactly what we're using. And remember, I said that we are going to use that ending curly brace. So that's one. We have declared the doc type. And within that, we are going to go ahead and put the HTML tag. So we're going to wrap our entire document in HTML. And basically the purpose of this is that we are telling our whole file that we are going to be coding in HTML for this entire segment from like line 2 to 12 or however big this gap is. So the first slide basically just tells the processor that this code is going to be in HTML, and the rest of it just makes sure that everything here is wrapped in HTML. See, I do think that y'all come to the stream based on what you see on YouTube, because as soon as I switched over to VS Code and started typing, the number of viewers shot up. So I'm glad to see that some of y'all are joining in. Hello, hello. You need the check-in link. There it is. I posted it in chat a little bit earlier. You didn't miss out on too much. We just talked about the fundamentals of HTML and web development in general. And right now we're writing our first Hello World program in HTML. If something doesn't make sense to you because you joined a little bit late, or maybe you just don't understand in general, which is totally fine, just go ahead and let me know so that I can help you walk through it. Questions are more than allowed. They are very much encouraged. So after the HTML tag, we're going to have the head tag. So the head tag indicates what we are going to wrap within the head. So there's like body and there's head. So the reason why they call it is because it's like very similar to a human body. You have the head, which is like the title, the subtitle, and the body is what the user actually sees in terms of content. So we are going to go ahead and create our head. So we're going to hit enter here, and it automatically tabs for us, which is great. And we're going to do head here. And if you notice, this is why I like VS Code too, it automatically provides the closing tag for me. So remember how I said with the closing tag, it's the exact same thing, except you have a / at the beginning. And that indicates to you that it is a closing tag. And that's why we typically use those closing tags. So within the head, I am going to put in my title. So we're going to use the title tag so that we have that title. And this title is not like kind of like the title of your Google document. It's more the name of your Google document. So if you think about like how a Google document is structured, you have whatever your content is, and that's the body, and the head is the name of your file. If you can think about it, in the top left corner of your Google Doc, you have the name of your file. Similarly with HTML, the head is not the title, but it's actually the words that are on the browser tab. So kind of the title of the browser tab in general. So we're going to do the title, and we're going to call it My First Web Page. Well, web page is two different words. Again, this is mainly just a starting off point. Feel free to customize it as much as you want because we can all share our code later on, and I can demonstrate what y'all are working on. So if you want to make something a bit more unique or maybe even a bit more fun and creative, definitely feel free to do it. Go ahead and do so. I'm just giving you all a starting off point. Feel free to also just copy exactly what I'm doing. It's honestly great to do that as you learn too. So we went ahead and did our head, and now we're going to go and move on to the body. We're going to body now. And within the body, we're going to put all of our content. Remember, body. So I want to make our hello world. So we're going to do H1 because that is the biggest heading, and we're going to do hello world, just like that. And feel free to do anything else, but make sure you include hello worlds because this is your first HTML program, and it will be very, very cool. And we're also going to use the P tag. The P tag is a paragraph tab, and we're going to say, I built this all by myself. All by myself. If y'all have any suggestions for what you want to see in the file, please let me know. I'm just putting whatever comes to my mind first. So now that we're done with that, we finished the paragraph. That's pretty much all the content I want for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and double check that we have everything. We have the closing brackets for everything, and it's all great. Head, title. We're actually going to want to indent that title. So good thing I double checked. Indentation is very important in some programming languages. If you don't indent, then the code will simply not run as you expect to. So indentation is always important. Just make sure that the lines that need to be indented are indented according to what their hierarchy process is. So we've got that. That's kind of our first Hello World program. And this is basically the foundation of every website. If you remember back to when we looked at MLH's YouTube page and we clicked on inspect, we have a lot of different HTML tags, but all of these tags were also present because these are the main tags of a website. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and save that file, and we're going to open it up in our browser. So exactly how you do that is you're going to go to wherever this file is saved in your computer, or you can save it in somewhere in your computer that you'll know, and you're going to just click it and open it up, and it will open up in your default browser. So I will open that up, and I'll go ahead and show y'all what that looks like. So I'm going to go find my file. I will open it up. I want y'all to code along with me, so tell me once you're able to see it on your webpage. I think that's super cool, so I'd be very excited to hear about that. But we've got my page at least working. Hopefully y'all's is working too. And you can see it has our Hello World title, and it has our I built all this all by myself in the paragraph text. And if you notice, I did not, or the title where we sent my first web page, you can't see it on the page because I'm specifically only highlighting the Hello World segment. But if you are to look at the tab of that browser, it'll say my first web page, which is super duper cool. Yes, hello HTML. There you go. It popped up and it is back. Dominosaurus, I think you changed your profile picture to Pizza Hut. That's very funny. I was thinking more like it was like a dinosaur. That's what I was thinking, but apparently it looks like it was like Domino's Pizza, which makes more sense in hindsight. But that's very cool. That is very, very cool. So first website, because that is your page in HTML. And something else that I think is super cool is instead of opening it up like this, and this is why I told you all to get VS Code, is we can actually install this thing called a live server extension. So if you haven't used VS Code before, or you just need a quick refresher, we have got this little thing. Oops, I gotta do the whole process where I X out of full screen again. Give me 1 second. My computer does not like it when I toggle between VS Code and something else. Maybe I should just not full screen. I think that's the outcome that we're going to go with. Yeah, maybe I just give up on full screen. Okay, so we are back to VS Code and we are going to go into the extension section. So the extensions are going to be right over here. This little, oh, actually that's source control. Ah, oh my gosh. The extension, relief. Oh no, wait. Oh, I'm trolling. I'm trolling so bad. The extensions are that little 3-block section, and you can go ahead and use that. And that is where you'll be able to find any extensions and all extensions that you will need. So here specifically, we are going to search for the live server extension. So I'm going to search up live server. And you'll see that there's a lot of different live server extensions, but you're going to want to go to the one by Rithwik Day. I have no idea who this person is, but this is the credible one. You can notice the stars, you can notice the downloads, not the same with other ones. But this is the one you're going to want by Rithwik Day. These statistics should be the exact same. And you're going to install it. There is no install button for me because I've already installed it. But once you've installed it, just go ahead and click restart or like close your VS Code and restart it so that you will be able to have that button in your new terminal. So I'm going to go back to my code. Hopefully y'all are getting that live server extension and reload all of your files. Oh, sorry, reload your VS Code. And you will now see a go live button in the bottom right. And if you click on that while you're on your HTML file, it'll actually open your code in the browser. So you no longer have to open it up locally on your computer. You don't have to reopen the file every time that it gets updated. Instead, that's the purpose of a live server, is that the page dynamically updates with every change you make in your code, and it's just one link. So let's actually give that a try. I'm going to go here. I'm going to save my index.html file. I'm going to click go live. Oh, open a folder. I'm going to switch for 1 second so I can open up a folder here. And that was a colossally bad idea. Let me do this. Give me 1 hot second while I do this. Hopefully y'all are following along. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. Creating our first HTML page right now. I'm going to go ahead and make a folder. I'm going to call it I'm just going to go ahead and move my index.html file in there. I know that before I was saying that you can just make the file raw without the folder, but unfortunately it does look like you do need the file within a folder to be able to run live server. So I'm going to make that change really quick, and maybe y'all need to do that too. Now it is there. So let me go into my VS Code and pull that up. I'm going to open. Perfect. I'm going to open the index.html. Ah, and we'll pull up VS Code one more time. Okay, great. So we are back to VS Code here, and we're going to click on that live server extension in the bottom right. So I'm going to click Go Live, and boom, it is running. So it opened up in my browser running that file, and I'm going to go ahead and show y'all what that is and what that looks like. Hopefully you're following along and see the exact same thing. I think the live server is pretty cool. It's a great way to be able to see exactly what you're coding in real time. Okay, there you go. So that's the live server, very cool. And actually something, so let's say I go and make a change in my code, and I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna change this to hello world and Bob. So I save that, and now let's see if it makes that change in the website. And boom, made that change in the website almost instantly. And that's why it's called the live server. So it's not just having your code, but it's actually updating it live, which is much cooler than saving your file and then, like going back to the location where you got it from and then downloading it again. So it's very cool to be able to have the live server as an extension. So hopefully y'all see that and you are enjoying it as much as I am. But that is the basics of your first website. So again, huge congratulations for going ahead and building that website and getting your first head start into the world of web development. So with that, we are going to move on to our next section where we're going to talk about the head and the body in web pages. So the head and the body tags have very, very different jobs. We kind of talked about head and body a little bit, but to talk about it a little bit more, the head is invisible. It has this thing called metadata. And this is basically the stuff that Google is doing. Body is what us humans and like people seeing the website actually see. So if you change the title tag, so what we had before, which was my first web page, you can change that title, and if you save it and refresh the browser, the tab name, which is the name of the web tab, will change. And that's exactly what head does. So if y'all are using Google Chrome, it's very easy to see. The tab will be there. So if you're on YouTube, it'll say YouTube. If you're on Twitch, it'll say Twitch. And I think it should be the same with Safari and pretty much every other browser. That's kind of how HTML works. And that's what the head tag is. So we also talked about the body a little bit in the paragraph and the heading one tag, and that's exactly what the users will see. So if you use that live server extension in browser refresh, it'll show up. So I want some crowd engagement for this next part. Give me something fun that I should put in the body, and I will go ahead and put that body in the body for the web page so that y'all can see your work come to life and feel like this is your project, because it is. So I'll wait until someone says something. We'll chill some music while we wait for somebody to speak up and give us something fun that we can put on our lovely website. we totally could add images at another time, but I think for now we're going to stay away from the images just because they're a bit more complicated to get into. But uh, we actually will get to images a little bit later, but there's some stuff I want to teach y'all about that. So maybe not right at this moment, but we will get to images at some point. Thank you for reminding me about that. We definitely want to get there. But since we're on you, I want to say, Jesslyn, uh, you should give us something that we put on the website. What image were you hoping to add? Maybe we can put something reminiscent of that image on our website. I'll wait, play some music while we wait for Jesslyn to respond, or some books. Hey, yes, you can. So you can make multiple different HTML and CSS scripts for different website pages. I actually don't think. Let me check. Hmm, I think specifically for HTML, you're going to want to have one file. I think it's just better coding practice to have all of your HTML code in one file and all of your CSS code in another. You definitely can split up HTML and CSS, but it would be a great idea to only have one HTML file. That's a good question. We actually see what the typical splits are. Yeah, so you can normally split HTML and CSS. They should be separated, and sometimes it is much easier to put them in separate files too. It's definitely better. No, I'm not seeing anyone giving us some content for our website. Jesselyn, come on, I had so much faith in you. I'll wait maybe one more minute and then I'll just put something on the website myself. Tragically, sadly, crying, tears running down my face because no one's putting anything in chat. Yay! Jesselyn responded. Add an image of our hobbies. Yes, that sounds great. So I was mentioning earlier, I think we're going to stay away from adding the images for now because we are getting to that later in the stream, but it's a bit more complicated and I want to start off with some other foundations first. But yes, we can definitely talk about hobbies and add that to the website. Yes, like sports or arts. I think that's a great idea. So let's go back to our code. And we're going to go ahead and change some stuff. So I was talking about the header and I was talking our head and body. So let's add it to our live page. Oh, Cat Cafe website. I like that. I like that. Let's do both of them. So we will add in some text and we're going to put it in P and we're going to say, I love to we said sports and arts, I think. Sports and arts. Okay, great. I love to play sports and work on the arts. And we had someone else say Cat Cafe. My love for cat cafes is unmatched. You know, I've always wanted to go to a cat cafe. I've been thinking about it recently because I like really want a cat. But if I can't get the cat, I feel like a cat cafe is the way to go. But there's none near me, which is so sad. But one day I will find a cat cafe and I will go. But we went ahead and did that. So that is on our code. And let's see if that update came up on our live server. And boom, Yes, it did. Thank you so much for participating, Jocelyn and Lily. I love the engagement. We got your work on this website. So now this website is custom built for you too with your suggestions. You've got exactly what you were hoping for. So thank you for that. That was great. So that's a quick summary of like head and body, or not a summary, a quick deep dive into what head and body is. So I want to talk a little bit more about some tags that are pretty common in HTML and pretty common in a lot of websites that you will be using. So there are four main tags that I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of tags that are always there, but there are four main ones that I wanted to talk about. Yes, it sounds so therapeutic and it sounds like I would be so happy. Like I would love for it to be a break. Like I just study all day. Oop, got too excited. Like I study all day and then I just go and sit with some cats and just drink some coffee and enjoy myself. So I hope I do soon too. I will find one in the next month. I really want to see one, but thank you for your well wishes. But let's go over the four main essential HTML tags. These are basically the building blocks of every web page. So first, we've got headings. So you notice that for our web page, I did H1 for our title, which said hello world, and it goes all the way to H6 as well. So it starts from small, or it starts from biggest to smallest. So H1 is the biggest and H6 is the smallest. So you can use H1 to H6 for titles and subtitles. Next, we've got paragraphs, which is P. You saw that used again too for all the new sentences that we added in, and those are for blocks of text. Next, we've got links. So if we want to have clickable links, we use the A tag to be able to reference that we are going to use a link. And specifically, if you want to use like a URL and what that text is, you can specify that within the link as well. We use these letters called HREF. Um, it's like href, and that's the reference link to what specifically we are using. And finally, I told y'all I was going to get to images. You were so quick and speedy ahead of me. But for images, we would do image, src, put the URL in, and what I always like to do with HTML is add an alternative description. And basically what that helps do is it helps accessibility for people that are unable to see what the image is, maybe some vision impairment or being blind. The alt will always help them describe what the image is so that they can also experience it. So let's try all four of these different tags in VS Code and see what we can make our lovely website into. So we're going to switch back over to VS Code for those of you following along, and we're going to make an About Me section. So this is still in our body, so we'll just extend the body tag a little bit more, and I'll do an H2 section here. H2. So I got H2 here, and we're going to do an About Me section. And we'll include the hobbies. So we'll actually move these down to the About Me section and talk about that some more. Great. So that's our About Me section. This can be, we move that to our About Me. And my love for cat cafes is unmatched. And then we are going to put in a fun little link. So I think we can put in maybe a link to our favorite cat cafe. Lily, do you have a favorite cat cafe that you have in mind that we can search up and get the link to? And we can link our potential viewers of our website that we're making right now to what our favorite cat cafe is. I think that would be super cool. So while we're waiting for Lily maybe to give us that, I'll show y'all how we do the link. So we do bracket H, and then we do HREF. Oh, HREF, those are the four characters that you'll need to indicate that you are about to write a URL. You do your double quotes and you put the URL in. So I'm just going to put temp URL for now because this is what we will want to put. Okay, did not like that I did. That's fine. We'll just make it a word. Great, and then we're going to put the closed brackets again. And before we end our link, we want something to actually be on text. So this will be a link that you can click on, but we don't want to just have this plain link there. We want to have something like a fun piece of like a sentence that you can click on. So we can put, and this is before the closing brace and after the closing brace of the URL, to say, yeah, visit here. It's my favorite cat cafe. Fingers crossed that Lily gets back to us with their favorite cat cafe. But now that we got our cat station out of the way, let's get the image of think I think we said hobbies first. Yes, Jesselyn said hobbies first. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to do IMG-SRC. So that's how you refer to the image tag. It's just IMG. And then SRC is the source URL. So here we have SRC. There we had HREF. And here we would just put a picture of a hobby. So Jesselyn said hobbies. So I'm going to pick a random sport. So let's go to a random sport generator. I'm sure Google has one of those. Yes, it does. Lovely. We're going to some little random sport generator and we'll find it says find a new hobby to quit. That's actually pretty funny. Okay. Rerun. Auto racing. That's not a sport. Boxing. Okay. Boxing. Sorry for those of you that maybe like auto racing and we're hoping that that would be a sport. Oh wait, you guys didn't even see it generate. That's unfortunate. Let me switch that. Okay. We'll do it one more time since y'all didn't see it. Rerun. Ice hockey. Okay. Ice hockey is our favorite sport. Great. I love this. Okay. So ice hockey is the sport that we are going to go ahead and do. So I'm going to go back to VS Code. Okay. We are back in VS Code and we are going to paste the URL to a picture of ice hockey. So let me find a nice picture of the ice hockey sport being played. Hopefully I don't offend any ice hockey fans that maybe have a preference for one over the other, but I'm going to copy the image address of my link. I'm going to go over to VS Code and I'm just going to paste that URL within the SRC. That was a super long file, but at least it got it. And then remember I said we were going to put our alt text here. So right after the URL, we're going to hit a space and we're going to do alt equals picture of a hockey player. Great. So you can also just say hockey player, but picture of a hockey player just so we know. And if you guys notice something very cool, we actually don't have a closing tag for image. You'll notice that everywhere else we had a closing tag, so paragraph, heading 2, the link, but we don't have one for the image. And that's not really, there's not like a specific reason, but it's just nice to notice that so you don't always need that closing tag for certain types of tags that we use. And also, like I mentioned, the alt text does help screen readers and it also improves SEO. So if y'all don't know what that is, it's search engine optimization. And it's basically just what makes sure that whatever you're on your website, so whenever you search things up on Google, if you have a lot of words on your website or in your alt text that match those keywords in that description of whatever that user searched up, then your SEO will go higher and your result will be higher up in the results that the user will get when they get in their search results. So let's see how this looks. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this. We have this. I'm going to save it. And let's go check out what our live URL, our live server has updated to. And boom, it's got exactly what we need. We have our first heading. You'll notice that the second heading is a bit smaller, but it's still bigger than the paragraph text. And we've got some fun things about us. We have our hockey picture here, our favorite hobby, and we linked to a cat cafe. Yeah, 10th URL is not actually a link. So since we didn't get a response, I'll just go ahead and go find a fun little cat cafe in Georgia. Hmm. Entangled Cat Cafe. Okay, that looks fun. Yeah, that's the first one I saw, and that sounds like a cool name. So I'll just go ahead and put that in my VS Code, and then we'll actually be able to follow a link, which is great. Save that. And there you go. It updated to our Entangled Cat Cafe on your screen. So we can see that lovely link, and that text in the link tag allows us to not have this ugly link, but be able to hyperlink that link into the text. Something that you'll notice about this web page now is the image doesn't really look great in this page because now the image is on the same line as the link. So like here, they're on the same plane. And it's not as great as it could look. So we can add these things called line breaks to kind of give us a cleaner look. So if you want to start text or elements on a new line without starting a new paragraph, we can use the BR tag. So we've talked about like P tag, H1 tag, and now we're going to talk about the BR tag. So that means break. You are specifically breaking the line here. So if we did like hello and then we put BR in the middle of hello world, then you'll have hello and then world on another line. So that way, the content is still in the same paragraph, but it's split on two different lines. Just like the image tag, the BR tag is a self-closing tag, which means that you do not need a closing tag for BR. You can use it for some things like addresses, poems, song lyrics, or just line breaks within your tags. So let's actually go ahead and try to implement that because we wanted to see if we could get the image to look a little bit fancier, a little bit more put together. So let's go try that. So we want our lovely BR tag. It's going to split it into two lines. So I'm just going to go ahead here and do BR. Great. And let's see how that looks on the live server. I have a feeling it'll look much better. Let's see. Yes, there you go. So it's not on the same line anymore. Since we did that BR tag, it actually looks much better. We say here is our favorite cat cafe, and you can also see that picture. Obviously, those two things aren't related, so maybe if you put a picture of the cat cafe, it'd make a bit more sense, but I think it's cool to have all your hobbies in your About Me section and have a variety. So yeah, mess around with it a little bit, make your web page personal to you and make it a little bit more customizable. So there are some other tags that we can also try. So I'm basically just going to talk about a bunch of different tags, and then we will be able to use those tags in some more code. So I'll go back to our slides for a second here. Okay, we're kind of off the slides now. That's okay. I'll just talk with our website. So there's a lot of more HTML tags. So for bold text, you can use the strong tag. So it's not bold, but it is strong, kind of like strong text, bold text. For italic text, you'll want to do EM. For a line separator, you can do HR. So right now we have BR, and that's the break. So it will separate the content into But if we use a line separator, then that will actually create a horizontal line, kind of like those horizontal line dividers you see in Google Docs. If you use the span tag, that creates an inline container. That means that you'll be able to have small pieces of inline text all styled in a certain way, which is super duper cool. It just makes sure that all things within the span have a great organization and a similar organization. Also, if you checked out other programming languages, you've probably seen comments before. You can do comments in HTML too. They do not show up in the browser. And the way you do a comment is you do the bracket, an exclamation point, two dashes, a space, your comment, and then two dashes and the closing bracket. So the comments look a little bit more difficult in HTML than other languages, but they are still present for HTML. Then, if y'all noticed that we had kind of like unordered lines and they're just kind of random, you can do bullet points in HTML. So you can use the UL tag for bullet points, and you can use the OL tag for a numbered list. So specifically, the LI tag will give you bullet points. Think about it like list, and you'll either have you'll have a list of items with LI. If you want an unordered list, use UL and you get bullet points. However, if you want an ordered list, use OL and you get a numbered list. So basically the same thing, composed of the same structure and basically looks the same, except unordered is bullet points and ordered is numbered. Then we also get an input field. So if y'all have coded in Java before, want to do that and we want to get the input from the user, we just do input type equals, and then we get that input so that it just goes in and gets a little text box for us. We can also get a button. Funnily enough, using the button tag, it will create a clickable button for you that will have some fun text on the button. Then we can also use a tag called code. So that's very relevant to us programmers, and it gives us some inline code samples. It just helps us structure that a little bit better. And I think basically the last tag that I want to talk about is block quote. So a lot of people like using quotes in their personal websites or like putting something that maybe they said once in their life. And you can use a block quote for that. You just use the block quote tag, and you'll be able to have an indented quote that kind of juts away from the rest of the page. So let's try a little bit of that. So we're going to use every single thing that we just talked about, all the new tags, and we're going to start a little bit of a new section. Going back to VS Code. Remember, again, I'm just doing something silly. This is not my website, but if y'all want to make this serious and tailor it to you, I would absolutely love to see some customization going on there. And who knows, if we have time at the end and y'all are interested, we could definitely share some of our websites and see how they turned out. So, we have our heading, we've used the break, we've used the paragraph. So let's try the horizontal rule to kind of separate our different sections. So we have our hello, we've got our about me. So now let's separate our about me section from the rest of our sections. So remember, it's just an HR tag. Go here, and we're going to do HR. That's it. That's all you need to do to get us our horizontal rule. And let's say that we actually want to put a specific list of hobbies here. So you can put my hobbies. And let's say we want to make a list. So for hobbies, maybe you want to make it a numbered list for like what's your most interesting hobby to your least. But I think we should just make it an unordered list so that we are able to kind of have a list of our hobbies there. So let's go back. We are going to have our unordered list. Got my hobbies. and we are going to declare this is an unordered list. Now that we've done that, we're going to make sure that we have all of our items within our list. So here we use the list tag. We do LI. It's already got it for us. So one is going to be hockey. Perfect. And another one, yes, will be painting, visiting cat cafes. Let me do some other fun ones. Rock climbing is pretty fun. Reading books. I love reading books. Books. Let's say going on walks. I told you all I love my walks. So let's try that. Okay, so that's a quick little unordered list for us. A quick list of bullet points of some of our favorite hobbies, which is pretty fun. And then let's try an ordered list. So now let's use that horizontal line again, separate those sections, make it really fun. Make sure your indentation lines up. And let's make an ordered list. So we'll use our H2 again to kind of keep these all in the same line. And let's say I'm going to do my shopping list, or we can do my to-do list. Shopping doesn't really have priorities. It kind of does, okay. But for the to-do list, let's do a ordered list. So this time, instead of UL, we're going to do OL, which stands for ordered list. Okay, and let's just take what the suggestion says. So finish my homework, clean my room, practice hockey, go to the cat cafe, read a new book. That's honestly pretty great. And if you're wondering what this autoline completion thing that I have going on here is, I use GitHub Copilot for some other streams with MLH, and I am able to use inline completion with Copilot, which basically just reads my code and gives me what it thinks I want next, which is super cool and saves a lot of time for streams like these. Okay, great. So we've got that. We've got our fun little ordered list. We finished off the tag. And let's add in a block quote. That was another thing that we talked about. Can someone in the chat give me their favorite quote? I hope we get some more engagement this time around. I've noticed some other people joining in, and I would love to get some additional quotes from anyone in the chat. Doesn't have to be anything serious, as long as it's not, as long as it's appropriate for GHW. Yeah, there's no domino swords anymore. No, I'm so sorry about my co-pilot. If y'all weren't here for my stream yesterday, we put like in one sentence that Dominosaurus was a street, was like at the stream, and my co-pilot yesterday was like going crazy with it. It was like Dominosaurus is running the stream. They are dominating the world. They are doing everything. It was like insane. Dominosaurus, if you want to give me a fun little quote, maybe we can incorporate something, and maybe my co-pilot will bring your name back, put some respect on it. So feel free to send a quote, y'all. I would love to get a quote, so it's not just me talking into the ether. I'll play some music while we wait for the quote. Anyone can send anything. It does not have to be super serious. Yay! Thank you for this engagement, Jessalyn. So happy. Yes, to be or not to be. I like that quote. So perfect. Love it. Love it. We're going to go back to our VS Code under our horizontal line, and we're going to put in a block quote. So we got our closing tags, and we're going to put, I already forgot the quote, to be or not to be. Great. I think that's from Hamlet, I want to say. To be or not to be. Oh, yeah, it's from William Shakespeare. I don't know which one it was, though. But we're not going to finish that rest of the quote because why would we do that? William Shakespeare plus, and then how do you spell the names? I know it's not spelled like actual J3SSLYY. J3SSLYY. Yeah, that's right. Okay, great. Great. Wonderful. So there's our block quote in. And let's do a fun little inline code example for those of y'all that want this. We'll do another horizontal line. And we'll do heading. Oh, heading. Fun little coding section. And we'll do paragraph font to declare a variable in JavaScript. I know I was bragging about JavaScript a lot yesterday, so I'll be a little kind. JavaScript. So we'll do that. We have so we're going to put our code here and just do x equal 5. Oh, not 5. 4. There you go. Sorry about that. We've got our x equal to 4 right there. Great. And we're going to put our semicolon because that's how we end things up in JavaScript. We've got our closing bracket for code and our closing bracket for the paragraph. So that is pretty much all of the different tags that we talked about. So I'm curious how that will end up. We've got some fun customization from our friends here. That looks in our website. I'm very curious to see how all these pages come together to form our website. All these different things that we learned. Okay, great. So we've got Hello World and Bob. We've got all of our normal stuff. And then we've got the hobbies. So that's what this horizontal line looks like. I actually really like it. It helps delineate and kind of separate things into sections, which is pretty useful. So that's our unordered list, our list items, and then we've got our ordered list, and again, those list items, and we have that block quote. So you'll notice the block quote is an indented quote. So if you were curious about what that meant, it's kind of similar to the block section, but a little bit further. And it just really helps draw your eyes to the quote because it's so far from the edge of the screen. And then we've got our fun little coding section. So we've got our normal text, but then once we switch over, you can actually see that it changes into a different font, and that is the text or the coding font. And you'll see that this is true if you work in Google Docs or Word. It actually does change the font if we are using code, which is super, super cool. So those are a couple of cool tags that I thought were useful. And a lot of these tags help with structure, with layout, and accessibility and interaction. Oh, yes. What do we put inside of the code tag? I love that y'all are asking questions. Yay! Y'all don't know how happy it makes me when I get questions. I'm like, oh my God, they're paying attention. They're curious. They're listening. Yay! So for the code tag, you can put whatever you would like within it. But I just put like the specific code for what you would want to do. So that would be like JavaScript code. That's what we would want to see. Actually, now that I'm realizing it, I'm looking at my screen and we don't need all of this big stuff. make it a little bit bigger to read so it's even easier for y'all to see. Hopefully that made it more clear and easier to see. But yeah, we're just gonna put in some code, and we just put the code from JavaScript within the code block, and just make sure that you put that within the overall P block here, so it's enveloped in the paragraph text. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any further questions, Jocelyn. But that's super cool. I'm glad that we got that little introduction into some more things that we can do. Yes, of course. Please let me know if you have any more questions. Happy I could help. But with that, we are going to go into some more content. And these tags that I just talked about, they are super cool. And as you build more complex pages, you'll be able to combine these tags and use things like CSS and JavaScript to style them and make them cooler. Because as you can see, like it's a cool website, but it's kind of dull. It's not as exciting. So with things like CSS and JavaScript, you'll be able to make it look even better. But these are pretty much the tags that are the core of basically every web page. Once you're comfortable with these, you can switch them around, mix them to create headers, content blocks, images, lists, links, like all of that. There's just a few lines of HTML code, which I think is super cool. So we talked about lists. We got the ordered lists and the unordered lists covered. So let's talk a little bit more about two different things that I want to talk about. So these are kind of like tags, but they have a bit more kind of content between them that I think is a bit more cool. So let's try that. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I think I skipped ahead on the slides. That's okay. I think I got sidetracked with all the other headers I'm going to talk about. That's totally fine. We have these things called divs, and divs are invisible boxes that actually group the content together for us. So I was talking before about like kind of containers, and divs can be similar to that. So if you want to make your layout more uniform, then that is something that you can do. So let's actually compare and contrast. So we've got our web page here already. Let's go ahead and share that once more. We've got our web page here. It actually looks pretty good, the My Hobby section. Not too shabby, but we can definitely make that look a little bit better. So let's go back to VS Code and I'll show you how to make that into a fun little container. Hopefully y'all are not getting too much whiplash from going back and forth between VS Code and the slides and the web page. I think I'm getting a bit of whiplash, but hopefully it's not too difficult to see. I wish I could just show them all at once, but I'm on my laptop and like it's such a small screen that if I did all three of them, I don't think you'd be able to see any of them. But that's okay. So we're gonna go over to our hobbies section and we're gonna add in the div tags. Woo! So we have our hobby section here. We have our horizontal line. And after we do the horizontal line, I'm going to add a div tag. Just like that. And I'm going to copy this closing tag and I'm going to put it at the bottom of the ordered list. Unordered list, sorry. So that's exactly how it'll look. One thing that we do want to do though is make sure that we indent so that we can include all of this content within the div. So this is basically the separate div that we will have. Don't do that, go away. We are now grouping our content together in this little invisible box, and it's actually pretty cool. You'll be able to see the difference here. So I'll go ahead and save it and show y'all exactly what that looks like. There you go. So it kind of looks pretty It kind of looks pretty similar, but it is actually stored within a container now. And that will be more obvious once you try moving things around, adding some other elements around, and trying to add some more style to it. I want to do a quick check-in on y'all and see how you're doing. Are y'all following along? Do you have your own web pages? I'm mainly asking because I'm trying to determine if I want to go over some more content in the last couple of minutes before we end our stream. Not now, but like closer to the end. Or if we want to share our websites together. So put in the chat if you are working alongside with me and want to share your website, because I would love to see that. Basically, just the way that would work is you would send me your code. I have like a little website where you can paste something and everyone can see it. So you put your code and I put it into VS Code and we display your website. So if that sounds like something that y'all are interested in doing, please let me know in chat. You can just put like a thumbs up, exclamation point, yes, no, just so I can see if any of you want to share your websites. It would be pretty cool. It can be forever immortalized into GHW history, your website. So I'll wait a couple minutes to see if we get any feedback. Yes, yes, no worries at all. It's okay. Oh, AI? I hope it's not AI. I hope we're coding along with me and then later incorporating the use of AI if needed, but we should be building some fundamental skills first. But totally okay if you're still working on your website. I'm meant closer to like the end of the stream. I want to show off some of all your websites, but it doesn't have to be complete either. I just want to see what y'all are working on. So looks like we got some interest from dinosaurs, maybe. Does anyone else have any interest? I will play some music while we wait for our audience to think. I see a lot of you in the audience, so hopefully you're following along. And if you want to share your website, just let me know in the chat and we can share it towards the end of the stream, just so I know if we want to learn more content or share. So let's play some music while we wait. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get any more responses. It's totally okay if y'all are just a bit shy about sharing your website. No worries at all. But later on, if you do want to share your website or you decide that you want to, just let me know and we can go ahead and add that in as well. But that's what divs are, and we also have nesting, so we can put tags within other tags. So we actually already did nesting. I feel like I'm jumping ahead of myself so much today. I have like specific places that I want to cover specific topics, but I just went ahead and did it all at once. So we did nesting over here where we had a little nesting going on with our paragraph and our code. So nesting is basically when HTML elements go inside other elements. And that's kind of how that structure works. So here specifically, the code tag is within the p tag, so codes within paragraph. And that's basically just nesting. It's not like anything specific that you have to do. It's just a cool kind of concept that you can use while you code. So we will bring all of that together in a bit, but we should definitely think about some other things about how browsers render this type of information. So let's get along with building along and go straight to the content, the heart of this. Let's take a peek behind the scenes as to what HTML actually looks like. So your browser isn't just displaying HTML. Fun fact, it is actually parsing the HTML that it gets as input into a tree-like structure, and that's called the DOM, or the Document Object Model. To this day, I'm still not sure if it's like DOM or DOM. I could probably figure it out with Google search, but I like DOM. It's fun. It sounds like it's like Tom. It sounds like your good old friend Tom. But that is what your browser is displaying. And let's actually go ahead and try that. So we've been using the Major League Hacking YouTube channel for our inspecting of our elements. So let's go ahead and try that one more time. Okay, great. So we've got our website up here. We've opened it up. I'm going to click on inspect. Okay, we're just going to share my whole screen because it looks like, unfortunately, you're not able to see it. Okay, so we go straight there. Hopefully y'all can see it. Okay, I'm not actually sure if you can, but we're gonna go over into the DOM panel. So we see console, we see sources, we've got all of this, and we see like the different DOM breakpoints here, and we can see all of this. So let's extend this a little bit more. We've got all our elements. We've got the headlines. It's super duper cool. Um, so let's see if we can specifically change something. So I'm going to try to see if I can find some text that we can change. There you go. Okay. So let's see if we can change this to not Major League Hacking, but MLH. Do you notice how it changed the tab up there? That's actually super cool. So you can change it locally. Let me see if I can change something on the actual screen for y'all, because I think that might be a bit more repressive. Maybe it's this. I'm trying to find out what that tag is. That would be cool. Is it this? I'm basically just changing every single Major League Hacking into MLH. Ah. Also, Don't be concerned, this is not actually changing anything on the website at all. This is just changing things for me on my local website. It is not actually doing anything for everyone in general. Let's see if we can find something that we can change. I think that. Oh, oh, aha. There you go. We finally got something that shows up. So let's change the home tab to Major League Hacking. And there you go. Now this home tab is actually just Major League Hacking, which is very cool. But if you notice, it just goes away after that. So that's actually something super cool that you can see and change it. But if you notice, if you reload the page, it's gone because it's not saved locally. So I think that is super duper cool. Yes, that is HTML, and yes, it kind of feels like you're HackerMan. You feel like you're kind of hacking into the website. But that's what DOM is. You can hover over any HTML element and it'll highlight on the screen. And if you change the text for that specific heading and you hit enter, then you could actually see that change happening live. But like I said, file, it just changes what's in the memory. So it's pretty cool because you can use it for debugging, designing, or experimenting to see what different things can look like on your website and see like why something's not showing up as well as it should. So y'all can definitely try that out. I think it's pretty funny to be able to change something locally. I know there's like some stuff about like inspect element people will talk about, but this is a bit cooler than inspect element because you can directly go into the HTML code and change it up, which I think is pretty cool. Also, for some I guess sort of quick like housekeeping rules about HTML. We definitely want to indent nested content. So I remember I told you all about how we've got our unordered lists, our ordered lists, and then we've got the specific list items. So for that, we want to make sure that we are indenting for all of that content because code is good code. And that's always been true for any type of coding language that you do, especially for HTML. It might not matter as much because you like actually don't specifically need it, but it's actually still pretty useful to have. So we've got that up and you can use that. So definitely make sure you indent any nested content that you have so that you can keep that structure similar throughout. And remember, I talked about comments as well. We definitely want comments. Remember that your comments won't show up in your code, but they do show up for anyone that's reading your code, which can be very helpful to help people figure out exactly what you need to be doing when you're trying to write something, but it might not be as clear. And make sure that you're closing all your tabs and keeping a consistent structure. When you are going through a bunch of tags, you want to always include your forward slash, which is going to make sure that you close your tag. So you always start with one and you close with one, But remember, we talked about earlier, there are two types of tags, and potentially more, but only two that we covered here, where you don't need that closing tag, and that's BR, and that's also image. Yeah, so definitely make sure that you can close those tags. Some of them don't need it, but you can keep a consistent structure. And something else really cool is that you can use semantic HTML when it's possible. So instead of using like a div header, you can actually use the header tag, which is pretty cool. And they do the same thing essentially, but they help with accessibility and again, search engine optimization. Specifically, it helps more with accessibility because you'll be able to see specifically what that is, even if you're not the one coding it. And it also helps with search engine optimization because you can see exactly what you need specifically for that. So that's pretty cool. We can add comments, we can fix messy indentation, and we can also make sure that all of our tags are closed. So question. Okay. Do you use any VS Code extensions to help with this? I personally don't. I think I have been pretty on myself about like making documentation and making sure that everything works as it should and everything's neat and organized. But there's definitely probably some VS Code extensions out there for how to make sure that your code is structured and your code is like solid and good to go. I'm not sure if any, maybe your fellow audience members, your fellow hackers can help you out in the chat there, but I don't think I have anything much that I know of, but maybe somebody else does. And with that, I want to take a quick, not really time check, kind of like check in. That is all of the content that I had to cover. We can keep working on our website. I can keep working on my website with you and adding some stuff, or we can start sharing the websites that y'all have been building. I know dinosaurs, yeah, Dominosaurs expressed some interest in that earlier. So if you're still working on your website, we would love to see what you have. Remember, you're not sharing anything. You will just put your code into this link that I give you, and then I will put your code into VS Code, and I will share your fun little website that you have created by yourself. I think it would be really cool. So if any of you are following along and want to share your website now, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep working on the website and I'll keep using those tags I was teaching you all about and showing you a couple more new tags as well. But that's honestly pretty much it for HTML and like web page development in terms of HTML. There's also CSS and JavaScript, but I think those are more kind of advanced topics and we want to focus on HTML first. Your AI is broken, you're not working on it. Don't use AI! No! The whole purpose of doing these streams is so that you can build it by yourself. If you had AI going, then what's the purpose of listening and watching? I think that you should take this time that since your AI is broken, you should take this time and work on that project by yourself. So actually what I think we can do is we can take a couple minutes to ourselves and work on our websites. I think y'all are a bit camera shy or sharing shy. Nobody really seems like they want to share their project, which is so sad because I see so many people on this stream and I think it would be lovely to be able to see all of your projects, but I will not push you if you don't feel comfortable. So I'll put some calm and soothing music on in the background. I'll put it on low so I can talk about things that I'm doing while I code, but feel free to code along with me or code in some new features of your own based on the tags that I talked about. So I'll play some calm music in a quiet sound. Great question. You would mainly use divs. It's not really doesn't really have a structural purpose, I would say, or a explicit purpose. It's kind of used to group content so that you can style it easily. So it's actually very useful for when you are using CSS and JavaScript, because those are kind of things that you use to style your code. And when you style your code, you want to target specific elements. So, like maybe you want to target your header, maybe you want to target your footer, or sorry, your header or your body. And if you're doing that, if you group things within a div, you can just target that specific div instead of targeting like each individual element. So it just helps group things together and makes it more helpful for like organization and for structure. But I guess for your websites now, based on what the knowledge you have from this stream, you don't really need divs. It's more a concept that you'll find pretty useful when working with CSS and JavaScript. So I'll switch over to VS Code now, and I'll keep working on my project, and hopefully y'all will keep working on yours. If anyone does decide that they want to share their project, please put it in chat. I would love to see it. And I'm sure your audience members would as well. Everyone loves to see projects. But if no one does share, we'll just keep working on it to the end of the stream so you guys get some time to independently work. But I'm gonna go back to VS Code, and it's not just like leave yourselves alone. I will be coding along with you, and I'll be coding in my new features. So let's get started. So I'm gonna replace this with a link that I can actually use. I really like ice cream, so I'll get a link to ice cream, homemade ice cream recipes. Actually, better than ice cream, I really like tiramisu, and I've been looking at this recipe for tiramisu lately. So I'm going to switch out the link for that. So when I go here, I'll just switch my link out here. And I'm going to say, here is my favorite tiramisu recipe. I love tiramisu. And remember, I said we could do nesting. So actually, let's try nesting out and let's go into that bold tag so that we can try it. So we said that if you want to do net or do a bold tag, you want to go ahead and use that strong tag. That's how we do bold in HTML. So let's try that. And so remember, this is nesting. I'm using an HTML tag within another HTML tag. And I'm basically just having fun here. So if y'all see something that you want to add, or you want to try something out, or you want to see something else explained in a little bit more depth, please let me know. I would be more than happy to try that out with y'all. Gonna add it in some tiramisu, and maybe I'll add in a picture of tiramisu actually. Do we have any other tiramisu lovers in the chat? I would love to hear. Love to hear about your favorite desserts, what you like, what you don't like. I love getting to know y'all a little bit better. It's very fun, all streams. So I'll just go ahead and replace this with my link here. I'm gonna say tiramisu with a spoon H. Peace. Okay. honest, I think that's pretty good. Let me see if we can't get to something with styling. I think that would be cool. Before we get to styling, I want to see if we can um, get to what our page looks like now. Yes, that was my goal. I'm craving tiramisu now too. I don't have tiramisu, and I don't know when I'll get tiramisu next, but I'm daydreaming about it now. So let's see what that looks like on our page using our live server again. Very convenient, very nice. Starting off strong with this tiramisu image. There you go. Here's my favorite tiramisu recipe. I love tiramisu. It is bolded. It does in fact lead to this great little easy tiramisu recipe. Oh, that looks so good. And it has this decadent picture of a tiramisu piece, and it still has the rest of the stuff that we had, which is super duper cool. And I think a lot of y'all maybe don't want to share your websites, or you don't want to keep working on this, so we can talk a little bit about CSS before we leave. I was thinking maybe this would just be HTML, but I think CSS would be cool to talk about too and give y'all a quick intro to what CSS is. So CSS is cascading style sheets. I'll turn this back here. And cascading style sheets are basically the design layer that sits on top of your HTML. So it has like it kind of gives the makeup to your code. It controls like fonts, colors, layouts, spacing, animations, all of this really fun stuff. So we can actually add in a fun little color. Um, the best way to use color is like using an external CSS file. But since we're using like a small project here, you can just put it within the original file itself. And I think that would be super cool. So let's go ahead and try some CSS styling out for us, because I think it would be cool to get y'all working on some CSS and see if you're able to add that to your websites, or just see how it looks like on my website. Going back to my VS Code now. Okay, so for CSS, for any style, for any color, you're going to want to have to put it in a style block in the head block. It has to be here. It can't be anywhere else. If it is, it just will not work. So definitely make sure you are putting it in the right place. So I'm going to go all the way up to my head tag. It's all the way up here. And here's my head tag. And I'm going to make a style block here. So I'm going to do it under my title. I'm going to do style. And so this is my style for the entire file, entire website that I'm coding. So you can see it like auto-populates with a lot, but I don't want to scare y'all or overwhelm y'all. So I'll just do something simple for now. So you first have to specify what tag you want the CSS to target. And Jesslyn, this is why I was talking about divs earlier. It's easy to target specific divs with this. Otherwise, you're targeting specific tags. And there could be so many tags, but like a div is unique. So let's say we want to change the color in the paragraphs. So let me get some interaction from chat here. What color do you want to change our text to? I think this should be a super easy question, super very low level, low energy, low effort. Just put the first color that you want that comes up in your head. And I'll code the rest of it while I am waiting for that color. But we're going to do P. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to put our color. And we're going to put enter color here. It's not an actual color, but we're going to pretend it is for now. We're going to put a semicolon at the end. That is the terminology that we use. And we're going to put a space here, let it breathe a little bit. And we go back to that closing style tag and that closing head tag again, which is great. Hopefully someone has sent a color. Great, maroon. Okay, wonderful. I am loving this interaction. Thank you, Dominosaurus. So we'll do maroon. There you go. See, something really cool is actually you can see the different colors. So let's say you want to do like you're thinking like purple. Um, when you type in just a single letter, you can see all these different colors come up. Like I did not even know like papaya whip was a color or like white smoke, thistle, tomato, honeydew, khaki, pea, dark magenta. Ooh, I think we just try magenta first though. Or no, you said maroon, maroon. Okay, I wonder if there's dark maroon. No, there's not. Okay, I guess maroon's already dark. Okay, so we've got our maroon color here, and that's what we're doing for our paragraph. So let's see how that kind of changes our style. So let's go back to our website. Oh no, I went back to VS Code. That's okay. We will go back to our website here. Yay! Okay. So you can see that it's now changed to maroon, which is super cool. You'll notice that the I loved the link is actually purple because we've already clicked on it. So the link is not in the P tag, if you remember, it's in the A tag. So that's why I didn't change that color. And this is also not in the P tag. This is in the list section, this block quote, but it does show up here. And it looks like we have a question. Can we change the background color? Yes, we can. I am seeing some interest for changing the background color, so let's get to that. We can specifically change different tags, but we can also change like the overall background too. So it seems like y'all are interested in that. So let me get my VS Code all the way back up. Mm-mm-mm. So I'll show y'all a really quick and easy, simple way that we can go ahead and change that background color. Jesslyn, since you wanted to change the color, do you want to give me a color that you would like to change it to? Please give me a color. But the way that we do that is it's actually before we even get to the body. Within the body, we can change the color of the style. We can make the heading, we can make the head one color, we can make the body one color. Like it's very, very cool. So I'll wait on Jesslyn to see if we can get a color. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and put that code in so y'all can see what that potentially looks like. So we'll have our body, and this one is actually going to go within the body tag. So here we don't have a separate line. We'll just go into the body tag and we'll add our content in. So we're going to set our style. That's what we want within the body. So we're going to do style equals, equals. And now we're going to get a background color. So we're going to put that in parentheses or double quotes, and we're going to set the background color to whatever color is told by us. Background color. There you go. All these different options that are back. So let's see if Jesslyn has given us our wonderful color. No, I don't see a color yet. Ah, Jesslyn, please give us a color. Lavender! Yay! Okay, great, great, great. Thank you so much for responding in such a speedy time. Yes, let's try lavender. Lavender. Okay, great. So now we have changed the color of the background now to lavender. So you just put that style tag within body. You'll notice that here we put the style separately. You could also put it within the P tag originally, but since there's so many different P tags, it would only change it for that one. So it's better to just put it in the head. But since we're changing the body here, we want to make sure that we are changing the entire background. Since we're not just targeting one specific type of tag, we're changing the body for everything. So let's see how that looks. Hopefully it looks good. I like lavender. That's a good color choice, Jesslyn. Great job. There you go. Hopefully y'all can see it has turned lavender indeed, so you can change the background color of the web page, which is super cool, and it still keeps that maroon paragraph text, which is super fun. I like it. I like the lavender. I think it looks really cute. Yes, it is lovely. It's a very pleasant, very calming color. But that's a quick intro into CSS, like a very short intro with a couple of tools. I mainly wanted to focus on HTML to get that kind of definitely solidified and make sure that y'all knew how to do that. But that was a quick and short intro into CSS. But that's basically all the content that I wanted to get into. Um, I mean, okay. So that's basically it. Thank y'all so much for stopping by and helping me through this 2-hour journey for our intro to web development. Before y'all go, I'm going to beg and plead for some feedback if y'all have any. We would love to get any and all feedback that y'all have for us. I always ask for this because we want to make all Global Hack Weeks and any future Global Hack Weeks better for you in the future. So look at that link in chat. Please fill out the feedback link. If you like this stream, if you like this Global Hack Week, or if in general you have some feedback about Global Hack Week, go ahead and fill out that form and let us know your thoughts. And thank you for coming to this stream. If you want to check out another one, you can check out the schedule over here. Next up, we've got the Intro to GitHub stream. I think Iro is running that one. I think I saw the announcement. So if y'all want to stick around for a little bit more, watch the Intro to GitHub stream. You can go ahead and check in and register for that and check in once you sign up for the stream. But that's pretty much it for us. Thank you all so much for coming. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And if you just want to talk, I'm also here. I'm going to hang out for a couple more minutes and I'll probably leave if no one has any questions. But I'll play some music. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming. Godspeed. Okay, I've hung out for a bit. Doesn't seem like we've got any questions coming in, so I'm gonna go ahead and log off. But if y'all have any questions, just put them in the Discord, and someone from the MLH team will get back to you as soon as they can. But thank y'all for being a great audience today. I loved hanging out with you, and I will see y'all later. I have another stream tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. Thank you for joining. Bye!